All right, all right. Anthony Lee, how are you doing, brother?
I am good. How are you?
I am
Ryan
doing
R. Johnson in the brand new black cowboy hat.
the new BlackHat cowboy hat, right? Yeah, it is. It is something that we're having a little bit of fun, obviously, with this whole Black Hat webinar and kind of poking fun at the critics and everything. So, why not, right? So I went ahead and I'm close to San Antonio, Texas. So if I don't have a cowboy hat, let alone a black cowboy hat, then I'm doing a disservice to my own local community, right? So I just need the boots and all that kind of stuff still. But anyway, yeah, gimmicks aside, of course, is that seriously though, we are of course talking about this little snippet today of us going live is simply just talking about we've got an upcoming live workshop on Tuesday, and that is going to be on Tuesday, November 30th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. And let me put the link into the chat here. There we go. It's going to be bit.ly/blackhat Amazon. The black, the hat, and the Amazon are capitalized. So that'll give you a shortcut to register for Tuesday's live workshop. We're going to be talking about, of course, Black Hat. What's going on in the world of Amazon Black Hat, something that I do each year. And so I'm very happy to have Anthony on here with me. So thank you, buddy. Obviously joining forces come Tuesday to talk about some of the dirty stuff that goes on in Amazon, both by Amazon as well as, of course, by other sellers. Now, one of the ones we were going to talk about today is one that is actually more common than most people think. It's not as the juiciest one, of course, that's going on right now, which I'll talk about certainly on Tuesday. But today, let's just kind of touch base on a kind of a common one that comes up, and that is somebody, essentially another seller, competitor, whatever the case is, figures out a way to hack into an Amazon seller account, change the content so that it then either gets flagged by Amazon itself and gets the listing suspended or delisted, or of course sends the wrong message at a minimum to those who are shopping. A couple of examples on that. I've got a couple of examples, and Anthony, you probably have a couple too. But we'll go into a little bit more depth on that on Tuesday as far as how to solve for that. Some of the recommendations that we have and some of the things that we found. But this is one of those things where, in one example, for instance, of somebody coming in and making a simple change like a supplement that is made in the United States, which is what most people want. They want something made in country domestically. And somebody goes in and changes your listing, and now it subtly just says made in China or made somewhere else outside the United States. And of course, your conversion rate goes down, and you don't know why, because they made a very subtle change that only was seen by shoppers who then dismissed it as, oh, I don't want that product because it's made out of country. It's a pretty subtle change, but it can have a pretty severe impact on conversion rate. Right?
Yeah.
I've even seen it so far as seeing a review. I've actually seen one instance. It probably happens more often than that, but where somebody leaves a review and say, "I bought this product previously," and then I go to find out it isn't what it says it is. And that would be a good example of that.
Oh, I definitely have some examples of reviews. We can talk about that another time, though. Those are crazy, especially in the beauty space. How easy it is for competitors to really throw a monkey wrench in their competition's plans. But with regard to what you're talking about, I think it's important to clarify. So you're not actually the black hat actor is not actually able to hack into your account. What happens is actually a little worse than that, because hacking into an account would be easily traced. What's happening is somebody, typically with Vendor Central, just because for some reason people with a vendor account automatically end up with higher contribution rights, right? So contribution rights is basically like you post something and you have no seller history. You're at the bottom, and then somebody comes in and lists against your listing, they can make changes to your listing
Right.
if they have a longer seller history. And then vendors are above that. And then at the top of the totem pole is Amazon themselves. They always retain the highest contribution rights. So what happens is somebody with pretty high contribution rights, which is going to be typically people with a vendor account, come in. The worst, the most egregious thing I've ever seen is just changing, and we actually all saw this, it made it in the news, changing popular products images to where it's only one image. It's like the Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah.
Right. And that was everywhere. And that, you know, and that really messes up conversions, because then people are like, I don't want to buy this. I don't, what is this?
Yeah.
Right?
They don't trust it.
Match the title and the bullets and everything like that. So like basically, as long as that stays up 24, 48, 72 hours, you have no sales. And for a big seller, and they were doing it mainly to big sellers, that can be huge, especially during things like Black Friday. That we'll probably see some of this stuff, you know, over the
Well, that's usually right now is usually when we see it, right? Is typically going in this week into Black Friday. And obviously our November 30th workshop is just at the end of Cyber Week, of course, on Surprise Tuesday, which is the second big day on Amazon that we typically have sales, with Cyber Monday being the biggest one. But certainly this is when you kind of ramp up and start correcting it, because you're still going to get attacks, especially if you've got a seasonal product during this time of year, either Cyber Week, which starts, this week, right? You know, Black Friday, right? As well as going into just the holiday, you know, the Christmas or the holiday season. You're going to have, this is the biggest opportunity for some competitor to try to take you out so that they have a competitive advantage.
Yeah. So, and I think it's important too for people to understand like what's happening, because I know that it's easy to say the motivation is they just want to take, you know, they just want to destroy my business, but it's a little bit more calculated than that. What's actually happening is you have a competitor, right, that's maybe made it above the fold in ranking or in another competitive position, maybe with their PPC, and taking you out actually reduces the distribution so that they have a bigger chance of the pie. So if you're taking like 40% of the sales, and then number 2, number 3, number 4 taking 10% each, and then you are out, then the next thing you know, those three, like there's 40% to distribute amongst them. And it's really beneficial, particularly during tentpole events like the holidays. It's really beneficial for those guys. And, you know, because they're doing it on the outside from like a vendor account or whatever, it's so much harder, believe it or not, it's so much harder for Amazon to track that down and see that somebody, you know, did something wrong. Because to them, to the algorithm, it's just, oh, a vendor wants to sell this product. They're making, you know, corrections to the listing. Okay, go ahead. Because the algorithm can't see that. Well, I mean, it probably could now, but I don't know that they've implemented this. But, you know, it can't see that image doesn't match this title. It's not as advanced yet. Like it is with regard to search, but it's not with regard to listing contributions yet. So maybe in the future they can shut that down quickly. But you know, for now, it's just something that we have to defend against, or
right.
More accurately, we have to catch fast enough and then correct.
Yeah, and I think we'll definitely go into more of that as far as like some of these things, like as far as being able to use some kind of a content monitoring tool, simply just having a best practice of, you know, checking your content weekly and just kind of scanning for anything obvious, you know, like images changing to a Guy Fawkes mask would obviously be a pretty easy one. Sometimes it's a little more subtle. You know, we've even seen where it's on the Amazon side where their warehouse has decided that your images were not clear enough, and so they literally take photos inside the warehouse of your product and replace your images, and they're worse. And you're like, why in the world would you use those images, replace them at all? And they said, well, we just deemed that the quality of the other ones were not as good. It's like they were way better, you know. And so sometimes it's not even malicious from a competitor. It could be just Amazon
tomfoolery. Amazon tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery.
That's
Yes.
what I call it.
There you go. I like that. Yeah, and there's quite a bit of that actually. I mean, I think everybody's got kind of a story on that, and of course, trying to get things resolved is a challenge. But we've got some tactics that work better than others as far as that goes. We can also talk as far as, like, content changes like that. It's mostly just about being in the practice of checking, like you said. There's not really a way for you to block it, even if you are brand registered. There's still gaps in the system that allow somebody to get in there.
Yeah,
It's gotten better.
that's an important misconception, though, that everybody needs to understand. I think, the great part about having this conversation is not just outlining what's being done to be prepared for and to defend against, but also like how Amazon works. A lot of people are under the misconception that brand registry locks your brand down. It does not. Just because you're brand registered doesn't mean that other people can't sell that product. Remember, Amazon is still not eBay. They do not allow duplicate listings, which means if somebody else either does or claims to have the exact product, they have access to your listing. It's not your listing, it's Amazon's catalog page, and then it's going to have a list of sellers. So brand registry helps you correct these issues, gets you in touch with the right people, ideally to correct these issues, because they do want you to be able to protect your brand. It is your brand, but it's still their catalog, and their catalog states, according to the rules, other people can sell this product, which means, for example, this is something that a lot of people were really frustrated with for a while because they thought it was Black Hat, but it's not. If you do like a coupon promotion, somebody comes out there and swoops up a whole bunch of your inventory, they absolutely have the right, according to Amazon, to list against your listing, and because it's the same product. So there's still gray area there with regard to the fight about whether or not they're allowed to sell it as brand new. There was a workaround for a while, which we can talk about on Tuesday, where people were like claiming that the offer was different because of wording in the warranty. And then you might notice that the terms of service recently changed, and Amazon has actually addressed that, saying you can't do that anymore because too many people were doing that. So this is all going to be a really fun conversation for Tuesday. It goes deeper and deeper. These rabbit holes are crazy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's kind of give. We don't want to stay here on here too long today. We just kind of want to, open up some discussion for the purpose of getting some questions sent to us, and that's basically what I'm asking for you. If you're watching this video right now, please, send us a question, send us an example, make a comment, something like that, wherever you're seeing this video, because we are multicasting right now, so that we make sure that we address on Tuesday something that you've seen or a question you may have, or if something maybe you're curious about. But let's kind of talk about what some of the things that we're going to be talking about on Tuesday to kind of clarify exactly what is Tuesday going to be offering. We're going to be talking about BlackHat tactics that are done on Amazon. Now, what this basically means is learning. We're going to be teaching you first and foremost what are the BlackHat tactics that are currently in operation these days. Some of them Black hat, some of them maybe even gray hat, some of them by competitors, some of them even by Amazon themselves. So anything that is that could be potentially harmful to your seller account and your products on Amazon, which is, I think, the clarification you had for me last time was it's not necessarily just against terms of service. It's really something that's going to be harmful to your brand and your product, right?
That's right.
So we're going to be talking about, as far as like understanding basically those strategies, ethical, unethical, whatever you want to call it, right? Legal, illegal, terms of service, not terms of service, harmful or not harmful, right? Understanding those kind of strategies, those kind of tactics that Amazon sellers and even Amazon use to manipulate, the listings and the competitor set that they have to work with. So we are going to be talking about, basically listing those out and talking about how those are perpetrated. Now, we're not going to be teaching you how to do them yourself. We simply want you to understand what they are and how to observe them, so that you can then, number two, and that is how to defend against them. What options do you have available? What do you actually have control over that's actually going to help you protect yourself? Because the analogy I used yesterday was, somebody breaking into your car. Well, if you lock your doors of your car, a thief is more likely to move on to somebody else's car rather than sit there and spend an hour trying to pick the locks of your car, right? Just don't be the easiest victim here, right? I guess the other analogy would be, wearing the running shoes next to somebody else who's not being chased by a bear, right? Because you just have to run faster. And then third, of course, is some of the basically talking about some of the common tried and true white hat strategies that we use at Canopy Management in order to get the kind of phenomenal results we get for our clients and our partners, and basically which ones are working best right now in spite of some of the attacks that we see on a regular basis. So we understand that certainly black hat and attacks and unfair competition is a normal part of doing business. There's a cost just involved. That's just one of those costs of you have to navigate around. You got to build up some thick skin and have some patience when you're trying to get it resolved, because that can take a couple of months in some cases. And exactly like you said, Anthony, right now, when you're going into peak season, if you're in that kind of a product niche and you're going into peak season, you're very likely to be attacked, right? Because they know that they're going to take you down for a month to 2 months and you're out of the picture for this season. It's clever, but kind of a bit evil too, right? So John was asking a question. I got a couple of comments that came in here too. Yep. John was saying, how about when people create bundles with hero product on new ASIN with accessories? We'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and review that, John, and we'll bring it back on Tuesday to kind of like that a little bit more. I think that is a good example.
Bring us your questions. We'll actually address all of them on Tuesday. Yeah. This other one I'm excited to address too, the manipulation of categories. And the reason why I'm excited to address that is because this was a rampant problem that had already ran its course and been dealt with once before, back in 2015. And now, apparently, we're seeing it resurge. So interesting how these tactics and how these things, strategies, good and bad, they come and they go and they come and they go. And it's like what was past is now in vogue again. So yeah, that'll be really interesting to address too. All questions, definitely bring them to us. We're going to talk about them on Tuesday for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, this is going to be fun. So just kind of a quick reminder for everybody before we go here. So the link for this we put into the chat here. Hopefully it gets disseminated out to the different platforms, but in case it does not, it is a bit.ly link. So bit.ly/BlackHat Amazon, with black being capitalized, hat capitalized, and Amazon capitalized. So BlackHat Amazon. And that'll get you to the registration link to sign up for Tuesday. We're going to go live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Pacific. And yes, of course, there'll be a recording and potentially a replay available for a few days. So I'd prefer to have you have that live conversation, because we do typically do Q&As at the end of each live workshop. And it's a lot more fun when we have a bigger number of people who can contribute to the conversation. Anthony Lee, thank you very much for joining me today. I will see you probably tomorrow. And obviously, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. It's going to be fun come Tuesday. So I will talk to you soon. Thank you, brother.
Sir. All right.